Do we require lakes? Why do we require lakes? Can some might be given to the children? So
In Malathalli, Bangalore. So there used to be a lake near. Try this. Hello. No.
there used to be a lake near your house.
Yes.
Okay.
There used to be another lake in the surrounding area. I think it's still there. It's called Komaghatta Lake.
Komaghatta Lake. Yes.
Yeah. And I remember going there as a kid and seeing a lot of birds, migratory birds like peacocks and other birds. And I went there recently and I saw that no such birds were appearing there any longer. And that made me feel like it's not just a home for us, or it's not just a resource for us, but also other plants and animals. And we require lakes. We can use it for so many other purposes, but at the same time, it's also a home.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. How many are from Bangalore here? Okay. Handful of people. Okay. Good. So let me start my journey with all of you. So, why do we need lake or any ecosystem? One is changes in climate is also happening. You all know what is the changes in climate. When you want rain, it won't rain. But when you don't want, there will be heavy rain. For example, when farmers is about to harvest the crop, if it rains, the farmers undergo the loss. And that's happening. If you have to minimize the changes in climate, you need to maintain the ecosystem integrity. Like you all have 2 hands, 2 legs, eyes, ears, etc. Ecosystem also has something equivalent to that. If you maintain that, then you will have the balance in the nature. Okay, that is what we call it as ecological security. And when you maintain the ecological security, you will have water security. And once you have water, you will have food security. And of course, the health will be there. And there is a resource available to everyone, not handful of you. Okay, and there will be happiness. Okay, and more importantly, it would be resilient to changes in the climate. The ecosystem which is in balance, they are resilient. And for this kind of ecosystem, you need to manage. To manage the ecosystem, we need environmentally literate people. What is environmental literacy? Any one of you? Environmental literacy? How many of you can read and write? I'm asking a question. So not everyone can read and write. Only few hands are coming up. Okay. How many of you know about the environment, ecosystems? Okay. So why are you hesitant to raise your hand? Is it lunchtime or you didn't have breakfast? Okay. Still no response. Okay. Environmental literacy means those who know about environment, knowledge about environment, how the ecosystem and environment functions. Some of the basic thing I will illustrate now because many of you didn't raise your hand. It means I have come to the system where environmentally illiterate people are here. Had you raised your hand, I would have moved to the next slide without much problem. Okay? Now, agenda is, why we do science, why we have to manage the ecosystem. That is for maintaining the sustainability or to ensure sustainable future. What is sustainable future? Maintaining the clean air, clean water for our next generation. The sustainable future is to maintain the clean air, water and environment to our next generation. The children's. And for that, one has to take a responsible decision. That is where decentralized governance and prudent management of resources are required. Okay? And we have worked on lakes of Bangalore. I will not get into the details. We know which lakes are there. What was the situation 20 years back? Today, what is the situation we are at it? So we have looked at those things, okay? So then, how to manage that? You know, two lakes in Bangalore are being rejuvenated, Bedanur and Vattur. Okay, for that there was a struggle. I will also share that story with all of you, how we succeeded in that. Okay, now let me start my class in a simple way. You all know about food chain. Huh? You know food chain?
Yes.
Is there anyone who doesn't know food chain? Okay. What does food chain consist of? You know, it illustrates how the food is produced and food is available to everyone at the various level. You know, you have primary producers, next is the herbivore, next is the carnivore. When you look at the food, the transfer from one level to the other, you will also see the energy and material transfer happening in the system. You know, that's what the laws of thermodynamics talks about. You know, the energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it can be converted from one form to the other. That's what you see here. When you take food, you are essentially taking the energy and the material. And finally, see, whenever we take food, there is some loss in the form of respiration. That is what the law of entropy is. And then, you see, whenever whatever is left in the nature, it gets converted into elemental form by bacteria and fungi. That's where in the nature, there is nothing called waste. Where do you see waste? I'm asking a question. Where do you see waste? You don't know where is the waste?
Settlements?
Huh?
Human settlements?
You will see waste where waste people are there. Who are those waste fellows? The fellows depend too much on plastic. No, I don't like this, okay, disturbing in the classroom. Who are these waste people? The people who depend too much on plastic and such synthetic material which are not assimilated by nature. So they are the waste, and that's where the waste create is the thing. Why waste is a problem? Because you will see heaps of waste everywhere. You know, the plastic pouches, etc. everywhere. Okay, now, what's your background, Jane? The student's background? Now, you know, I work in Western Ghats. You know, Western Ghats is the region in the western part of India. It is a backbone of India. You know, it extends from Kerala to Gujarat. And when you look at the Western Ghats, it extends from 8 degree to 22 degree latitude. And the total area of Western Ghats is about the 5% of the India's geographical area. Now, when you look at the earth, how many species are there? How many varieties of plants and animals are there on the earth? Do you know any? Do you have any idea? See, our scriptures have talked about it. It's about 8 to 12 million species. And if you look at in science, we have estimated about 1.3 million species. Out of 1.3 million species, about 5 to 8% species we know their medicinal properties, which is what we are using in our medicine, etc. That means still 95% of the varieties of plants and animals, we do not know their capability, you know, the medicinal properties, etc., biochemical composition, etc. So now, of course, for that, one has to do the science to understand the thing. That is where we need more and more youngsters getting into the science. Now, you might ask, what is the use of this variety of plants and animals? When you have varieties of plants and animals, you have variety of food. When you have variety of food, you also have variety of medicinal properties in that food. That medicinal property gives the immunity. See, now those who take food, which is a diverse food, you would have seen them very healthy. You know, the people who eat only pizza and all, like pizza, they will also be unhealthy. So that's the kind of a thing you would have seen. You know, the diversity in food always helps us in maintaining the immunity and the health level in the system. Now, let us try to see where these varieties of plants and animals occur. That is where you should feel proud of our country, India. You know, on the earth, when you look at latitudinally, the number of species increases at 8 to 14 degree latitude. 8 to 14 degree latitude corresponds to Kerala and Karnataka part of Western Ghats. Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. That is the kind of resource we have inherited. Another biodiversity hotspot is Himalaya, northeast. You should feel that nature has given us such a diverse food, diverse medicine. Why we are not conserving it? Okay? Then, if you want to conserve, you need to know what is the health of the ecosystem. When you go to the doctor, first thing what doctor does, doctor will talk to you remotely, and then doctor will do the test. Like that, to know about the health of the earth, we also have learned the satellites. Satellites keep revolving the earth. Satellite take the picture. When you have a picture of yourself about 10 years back and today, what kind of interpretation or analysis you can do?
How we have changed.
You can say what changes have happened. So the facial features, etc. You can say that. Similarly, if you have the picture of the earth, you can say what changes are happening on the earth. Okay. Now we have used that data. There's a big data available. Today people use the jargons like big data, artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc. There was a global conference on artificial intelligence yesterday and today at the Delhi. Prime Minister also addressed the country, highlighting the importance of artificial intelligence. But as far as my study is concerned, we use artificial intelligence to classify this data, to interpret the data so that we will know where forests are there, where agricultural land is there. See, now this is what the picture of the Western Ghats from 1985 to 2018. Now, when you look at that, you see the green is reducing. Green indicates the forest. Okay? Not only green is reducing, green is also getting fragmented. That's what it shows. What was green earlier, you will see the intrusion of yellow color. Yellow is the agricultural land and the open area, etc. Okay? So now, how much carbon is stored in these trees? Let us try to understand. You all know photosynthesis, no?
Yeah.
Okay. One of you help me in understanding what is photosynthesis. Voluntarily, you can raise your hand and explain.
Light with the stomata that's there in the leaves to produce carbon dioxide.
Very good. Dioxide that is there in the atmosphere is taken away by these plants. They convert that in the presence of sunlight. Okay. You also know that the chlorophyll is this one does the job. That gets stored in the plants in the form of glucose or the food. Now, how much carbon is stored in the plant if you want to assess? Like if you want to find out what is your weight, what do? You will go and stand in the weighing machine. You find out what is the weight. What is the indirect way of doing it? We will find out what is the girth and height, and approximately we say that your weight is this much because you know that index. So for that particular height, if you are 5.2, your weight should not exceed 52 or 55 kgs. Approximately you got the idea. Similarly, in the case of plants also, we measure the girth and height of a tree to find out what is the biomass. Once we know the biomass, 50% of that biomass is a carbon. Now, the trees are doing the job of removing the carbon from the atmosphere. From where all carbon dioxide comes?
From us.
Respiration. That means all of you are breathing. Is there someone who is not breathing? All are breathing, no? Okay. And when you run your vehicle, you have carbon dioxide. When you manufacture electricity, you have carbon dioxide. That means the emission happens from all our activity. That carbon is stored in the trees in the. Now let us see how much carbon is stored in these Western Ghats trees. It amounts to 1.23 million gigagram, or per year about 37,000 gigagram of carbon gets stored. Every year you might ask, gigagram is how much? 10 to the power of 9 gram. Okay. So now it is about when you look at that amount is equivalent to the emission that happens in the major cities in southern India, like Cochin, Trivandrum, Mangalore, Bangalore, and all. That means the nature knows how to balance the system. But unfortunately, that is declining. When you look at it from economic angle, it amounts to about 100 billion rupees or $1.4 billion. That is the economic worth of the service done by the forest. Now, when you travel in auto, you will pay the service charge to the auto driver, or a taxi driver. That is the charge you are paying for the service. Similarly, the forests are doing the service. That amounts to about 100 billion rupees. Okay. Now, what is the use of this kind of study? When we go to international forum, we will tell them that this carbon, what is stored in our trees, are the carbon emitted by them, because at that time our country was not industrialized, and that is the emission that was happening on the earth. You all know that we have only one earth. Whoever breathes the carbon dioxide get into atmosphere, then the trees on the earth has to handle the job. That means this is the amount the industrialized country has to pay the countries like India, which has maintained the ecosystem. How much they have to pay? 100 billion rupees. Now you know that for every service, what kind of costing, how that is accounted. Okay. Now let us see if this situation continues. What is the likely scenario? There will be further degradation of forest and further fragmentation happen. Now the consequence of that is there will be increase in temperature. The Kerala will witness 0.5 to 1 degree increase in temperature. How many of you are from Kerala? Okay, good number. That is worrying. That means increase in temperature will lead to the increase in the vector-borne diseases. You will have chikungunya, dengue and such problem. And second thing is the rainfall pattern. The Kerala now receives 6 to 8 months of rainfall. It will start getting lesser rainfall. Especially you look at Kerala and Karnataka, will start getting a lesser rainfall. And other worrying thing is the rainfall, which is supposed to come for 6 to 8 months, instead of that spread across 6 to 8 months, you will have the same amount of rain in a week's time or a 15 days time. That means the large quantity of water in a short duration, which we call it as high intensity rainfall. When you have such a high intensity rainfall, the water will rush towards the ocean. When water rushes towards the ocean, there will be flooding. That's what you saw in Chennai the last week. You witnessed in Chennai. Okay, that is again an indication of the climate change. And then because of the flooding and high amount of rainfall in a shorter duration, you have landslides and mudslides. Consequence of landslide and mudslide is the loss of property and the human life. The mistake what we do in ill-treating the mother earth, we get it back in the form of landslides, mudslides, etc. Okay? So now you understood it has to be conserved. How to do that? As a scientist, we have done the study. We looked at what kind of plants, animals, where the tree cover, etc. These are the various variables we looked at. We integrated all those things. We developed a decision support system identifying the region as the ecologically sensitive. Now, for example, you will see red color here. The red color are the region where the forest cover is very high, more than 60%. Then you will see yellow color, 45 to 60. Okay. Similarly, intact forest, you will see that concentration also higher wherever red is there. Like that, each of the variable we analyzed. Okay. Then we looked at the plants distribution and the animal distribution. And we overlaid all these things, and then did the composite analysis. When you look at the plants and animals, you look at the fauna, animals higher in Kerala and Karnataka compared to other parts. Okay? And tree endemism. Endemism means endemic plants and endemic animals mean they occur only in that region, nowhere else. You cannot get that plant which is there in Kerala in Bangalore. So they are called endemic plant. The higher number of endemic trees in the Kerala and Karnataka part, you see that. Now we compiled all those information and finally we arrived at which are the region has to be protected. Red one are and the green one, dark green one, the region has to be protected or conserved on priority. And the next is the light green and blue color. Blue color is ecologically sensitive 4. Okay. Now we also overlay the village boundaries. Now in each village, what is the eco-sensitiveness you can assess? This is the decision support system which we developed, and your hotspot is on. Okay, when you access this, you will see that you can visualize the entire Western Ghats, the eco-sensitiveness, and also if you want you can go to that website. I am going to that website. If you want a particular state, you can find out the state situation, district, as well as the taluk and village, which means you can find out what is the ecological status of your village, in your taluk, in your district, and also your state. You can visualize the thing. Okay, at the end of my talk, I'll show that. Okay, then we also have written about these things, in various languages. Your language, English, then Kannada, Malayalam, so that people in the region can see what is the significance. And also the videos are put here, so that people can know in their own language, Malayalam, Kannada, like that. Okay, so then the web version also. See, this is the QR code, the mobile version, Android version is also available. If you access this code, okay, you can download that app and you can visualize. How many of you carry mobile? You can do that. You can scan it and this one, okay. You can scan that QR code. I'll give 1 minute so you can do that, okay. This I'll bring you to the lake. Now, if the lake has to have water, what you should do? Do you know that? Can you tell me? Any one of you? See, when it rains, no? That rainwater gets into the lake. Don't tell me, sir, I generate sewage at home. If I leave the sewage to the lake will have water, because every day I generate sewage, my family generates sewage, my apartment generates sewage, the water will be there in the lake. If there are no sewage getting into the lake, then how the lake will have the water? Okay? Now, for that, I will explain about the lakes in Bangalore. Do you know that how many lakes were there in Bangalore earlier? When Kempegowda was there, probably some of you would have read that about Kempegowda. We had 1452 water bodies in Bangalore. Current Bangalore spatial extent is 740 square kilometer. In a 740 square kilometer, we had 1452 water bodies and 80% green cover. The tree cover was there, vegetation cover. And because of that, May month, the temperature was 14 to 16 degrees Celsius. May is a peak summer. We had the temperature of 14 to 16 degrees Celsius in 1800. Okay, and for few days in December, we had a temperature of 0 degrees Celsius. We were growing apples in Bangalore. For example, there is a place called Palace Orchard closer to IISC. We were growing apples. Today, what we are growing? See, today Bangalore has only 193 lakes and temperature has gone up to 34 to 37 degrees, and we see waste and waste people. Okay, so now when you look at Bangalore, it is like a small hillock. There are rain which falls will flow in 3 directions. This is the Bellandur Vartur region, the KC Valley. This is Rishabhavati and this is Hebbal Nagavara. And when you look at this carefully, you see the river was passing. What did our elders do? They just put a bund at regular interval. That is how we got the lake. So now that's where you see that bund formation in the stream network. This also shows that lakes are interconnected. When you look at this one, see the interconnectivity, that means the water from one lake used to move to another lake. But today what has happened? We are losing this interconnectivity because people have become greedy. They encroach the lake, they encroach this stormwater drain or Rajakalway. There are very, if you look at in the society, there are very greedy people. Their job is to encroach such this one and construct apartment. They call it as a lake view apartment. And then of course people like her will stay in the apartment. So the parents will come from some other place, they will buy and stay there. See, the implication of that is, the lake is polluted, they will be consuming that lake water. And there are emission happens from the lake, they will be inhaling that emission. That is what we have been telling the government over the last 1 decade. Okay? Now, to understand how long the water will be there in the lake and what is the factor that decides. Okay? So now, see, this is a situation when I was of your age, the water was there. In the same region, same location, I don't have the water. What could be the reason? See, here you see the water flowing, that too in the month of November, December, but here the same month, November, December, I don't see a water. But what could be the reason? Deforestation. Yes, loss of vegetation. Now to understand that, I will take you to the river basin. In this river basin there is the Linganmakki reservoir is there. This is a Shalavati river basin. It traverses 128 kilometers, joins the ocean. All rivers join the ocean. Now, when the dam was constructed, there were 179 villages were submerged. Those villages were taken out, they were put in a dry bed. Those villages who were staying in this region, when you construct a dam, naturally the water storage happens. With the water storage reservoir, the people cannot stay there. So you have to evict them. When they were evicted, they were put in a dry bed. And those farmers, when they were here, because water was available, they were doing wet cultivation. They were growing sugar cane, paddy, etc. But when they are put in dry bed, they couldn't practice. Their livelihood got affected. What did farmers do? They waited for the dam to be completed. They just came to this portion of the Linganmakki reservoir. They converted forest into agricultural land, and that's where you see that, wherever the people have occupied the forest, you see more of agricultural land or a degraded land. In this portion, you see the greenery. You see the yes, Chandra, there are changes happening. Whether it has affected rainfall or the water availability, let us look at. See, now rainfall data is available for last 123 years. That means from 1901 onwards, rainfall data is available. This dam was constructed in 1965. None of you were born, not even your parents, but still dam was constructed. Okay? Then let us look at before 1965, what is the rainfall in this region? This entire region was receiving the rainfall of 3000 to 4500 millimeter. Okay? But after constructing the dam, 1965 to today, when you look at, one portion still gets 3000 to 4500 millimeter, while the other portion receives the rainfall of 1700 to 1900 millimeter. One portion started getting lower rainfall. Now, what is the reason? Let us look at. Let us do the analysis at a sub-basin level, at a decentralized level. We divided the catchment into the sub-basin. There is a tributary here. This tributary, the surrounding area, that is called catchment. Catchment is the region we drain the water to that portion, okay? Where whatever the rain falls, it flows into this. Whatever the rain falls here, it flows into the river. This region is called a catchment. We divided the sub-basin, the various sub-basins. There are sub-basins on the western side and eastern side. Now let us look at what is the forest cover in each sub-basin and what is the rainfall. Okay. Now on the eastern side, that means this side, the forest cover is 30%, rainfall is 1776. Or on the western side, that is this side, forest cover is 68%, rainfall is 4800. Or 60%, forest is 60%, rainfall is 4400, which shows wherever forests are there, there is a good rainfall. Now getting good rain is one part. How long that rainwater is there in your stream or your well, that decides your fate. If you have water in the well, you can drink, you can grow crop. Okay. Now for that we looked at this one. How much water get infiltrated when it rains. We selected various regions. The region which has the native species forest, the diverse species, the region which is urbanized, the region which has monoculture plantation, etc. And when it rains, the rainwater gets percolated to the underlying layer. That is called infiltration. When the infiltration happens, how much water gets infiltrated we looked at. See, when it rains, if there is a native species forest, because of the diverse species, the soil become the soil microorganism in the soil become diverse and abundant. When soil microorganism become diverse and abundant, the soil become porous or permeable. When soil become porous, it allows the water to percolate. That means water get infiltrated and fill this zone, which is a groundwater zone. Then it fill the next zone, and that is where when the water fill in this region, then only you see a water flowing in the stream or river. In urban area, there is no recharge happens. That's where in the groundwater table in Bangalore is going down. Some places people have go down to 1,200 feet, etc. Okay. Now, what is the advantage of water getting in down? See, rainwater for 4 months because of the monsoon rainfall. Then the water stored here moves to the lake like this laterally. It maintains the water level. Then during summer, the water that is stored here in the saturated zone maintains the water level in the lake or a river. So that's how you have water for 12 months because of 4 months rainfall, 4 months in this region, 4 months here. Okay. Here, since there is nothing has gone in, there is no water after the monsoon. That's where lake get dry during the post-monsoon period. You would have seen in many parts of Bangalore outskirts, the lake which was there in the monsoon, you don't see the lake after that. Okay. Now we graded that as A, B, C, D. A are the lake which have the water throughout the year, B are 8 months, C are the 6 months, and D are only during monsoon. Now you see that A type of lakes are there wherever the catchment has a vegetation cover of native species. That means wherever lake is there, surrounding catchment should have the native species forest so that your lake will have water for 12 months. Wherever the catchment has a coffee plantation or the acacia or eucalyptus monoculture plantation, you will see 8 to 6 months of water. Wherever we degrade the catchment with a vegetation cover less than 30%, you have water only during the 4 months. Okay. Now, what is the advantage of this? Our study shows wherever forests are there, wherever vegetation is there, 60 to 65% of rainfall gets infiltrated. Okay. And wherever forests are not there, only 20 to 30% get infiltrated. Let us look at the demand of the water in the society. People require water for growing vegetable, growing crops, and for livestock rearing, for fish, etc. We quantified that. In this region where forests are there, demand for water is high, but there is sufficient water. Wherever forests are degraded, you see the demand is more than the water availability. In this region, you see green is higher than this bar. Whereas here, you see demand is much higher than the thing. When there is a scarcity of resources, you see there are conflicts in the system, there are fight for water. Now this is the region where 12 months water is available. Green are the 8 months, this is yellow is 6 months, and this is 4 months. Now just look at the vegetation cover. Wherever forests are there, you see the 12 months water is available. Wherever forests are fragmented, depending on the scale of forest fragmentation, you have 8 to 6 months of water. Wherever forests are degraded less than 30% green cover, you see that only during 4 months the water is available. Okay. Now you might ask, so what? What is the use of this work? Look at how it decides the fate of the human being. The farmers in this region, versus the farmers in this region. In this region, water is available 4 months. In this region, water is available 12 months. Here, farmers earn 1,54,000 rupees per acre per year. Whereas in this region, farmers earn only 32,000 rupees per acre per year. Which one is higher, 1,54,000 or 32,000? 1,54,000. That is mainly because since the water is available 12 months, they can grow multiple crop or a cash crop. Whereas in this region, since water is available only for 4 to 6 months, they can grow only one crop. Okay. Now, why this difference? Why you might say God might have created like that? It's not God. Look at the forest cover. Wherever forests are there, people had water 12 months. Wherever forests are fragmented, they have, depending on the scale of fragmentation, they have 6 to 8 months of water. Wherever forests are removed, you see that for less than the 4 months water is available. That's where the fate of the humans are decided. Okay. Now another interesting thing which you might appreciate is the pollinators are abundant in this region where forests are there. When pollinators are abundant and diverse, pollination become efficient. When pollination become efficient, the yield of the crop is higher. For example, the farmers in this region, if they are growing paddy, they get a yield of 12 to 18 quintal per acre. Whereas in this region, farmers get a yield of paddy of 6 to 8 quintal per acre. That's mainly because in this region, pollinators are poor. That's where the pollination is inefficient. Whereas in this region, pollinators are diverse and abundant. Pollinators like bees, butterflies, etc. are abundant. Because of that, pollination is, you have higher yield of the crop. Now the message is, if you want to make sure the people have to have the resources, we need to maintain the catchment integrity or the ecosystem integrity. That's where, let us look at the biodiversity. When the water is there, you saw the people who benefited. Where all animals are there, let us look at. These dots indicate various animals like sloth, bear, tiger, etc. They are all there where water is there 12 months. Where water is not there, which animal is there? In this region, you will see only two-legged animal. Who are the two-legged fellows? The humans. Okay. So now you might even ask, what is the use of this? Okay, forest is there, diversity is there. For that, let us understand about this fish. These are the two new species of fish which we discovered. In science we say discovery because no one has identified that. No one has identified the species or the taxonomic detail. We did that. We had the opportunity to name that into two new species. Sistura nagodiensis, Sharavatiensis, because it was in Nagodi stream, the other one was in Sharavati. It belongs to Sistura genus. Like you have, the name like Agarwal, bird like that, no? Like that we also have genus Sistura. Okay. Now what is the significance of this fish? This fish has a medicinal property. We thought that okay, the fish has a medicinal property. If I culture it in my lab, then I can make a money. So that's what humans think. So we brought those fish to the Bangalore lab. We cultured it. Then for our surprise, the fish didn't have the medicinal properties when it was grown in Bangalore labs. That means if fish has to have medicinal property, it has to grow in its home, its habitat. For the fish to grow in its habitat, water has to be there in the stream for 12 months. For water to be there in the stream for 12 months, surrounding catchment area should have the forest of native species. That brings the linkage between the forest ecosystem to the water. Okay. Now, you all know frogs. Is there anyone who do not know frog? We call them as amphibian. Why do we call them as amphibian? It's like a frog croaking only. Why don't you, one of you tell me, get up and tell me.
Lives in water as well as land.
Can you refine your answer?
It is adaptable to both.
Okay, I will help you now. Let's look at the life cycle of the frog. There are two stages. One is a juvenile stage, other one is adult stage. Juvenile stage is a tadpole stage, which is in the water, whereas the adult stage is on the land. Because of the two requirement, the two levels of life cycle, they are called amphibian, the dual life. Okay, it is not they can stay in the water as well as on the land. I was also in the swimming pool. Now I am on the land. You cannot call me as amphibian, isn't it? So now you understood why frogs are known as amphibian. If there is no water, then what will happen to frogs? The tadpole cannot survive. If tadpole is not there, then the frog progeny will not thrive. Then how these animals have got adapted? Let us try to understand. through this particular species, Phelatus leucorrhina. We are surprised. We saw the fertilization of the egg. After fertilization, without tadpole, on the 14th day, on the land, we saw the younger ones were coming out. That means the animal has learned when there is a scarcity of water, how to get adapted. Okay? See, that's why we got those fertilized egg to the Bangalore. We monitored it. We saw on 14th day, the younger ones were moving out in our labs. So that means they have learned how to get adapted. See, with the changes in climate, global warming, bound to be there is no water on the earth. When there is no water on earth, no humans can survive. Okay? But only these animals, organisms can survive because they know how to get adapted to a situation. Okay? So now, that is where understanding this kind of importance. Our elders protected the forest. They called it a sacred forest. Or a Devarakadu, or the Kavu or Khans. In Kerala, you call it as Kavu, or rice in Goa. This one. Now, unfortunately, that is getting degraded. Replacing the nature with the idols have become a practice. Earlier people were
protection and the need to protect the environment. That's
in rainfall in different places. Like
wonderful, yes.
Kerala is not getting.
That
Kerala
means
was-
climate change you are
yeah.
talking about. Very good. Yeah.
First, you spoke about human encroachment onto lake land, which causes pollution of the lake, hence destruction of the ecosystem. Then you spoke about how the forest land from dense forests around Bangalore, around the Western Ghats specifically, with your expertise, was getting reduced from the outside in. How the ecosystems again that was damaging climate and causing climate change. Hence, there was reduced in the number of species that were found, mostly because of their natural systems were getting consolidated. Hence, the vast space where you find most of the species that was getting reduced. Next, you spoke about most recently you spoke about two fish that you found and how their ecosystem played the role of their genetic properties, mostly because of the way it will usually be the number of bacteria, the food or the thing that goes into the plants that give them their genetic capabilities, not exactly their environment.
I didn't use the genetic, I used the medicinal one.
My family is mostly the science, ecological and botany side, so I understand that aspect.
Okay, I should take a class from you. Huh? I didn't know that genetic matters there. Okay, we'll see. Thank you very much. You have done. Should I give the marks to you? You all know how Bangalore is changing. Okay? This was the Bangalore in 73. The green indicates the green cover and blue is the water body, red is the buildings. Okay? Now look at 2023. It is, 86% is concretized. If you want to understand 1973, it was known as a garden city. Okay? Then you have the industries coming up, changes started happening. Then 99, outskirts there were buildings started happening. Then the 2006 intensification, 2009 further intensification. Okay? Now we see that the city is becoming unlivable because there is not much oxygen or the water availability, and 1055% increase in the concrete area has happened, with the reduction of 88% vegetation cover and about 79% of the water bodies we have lost. Now when you look at this, not only just the Bangalore, even the surrounding area, you will see the changes happening. Okay? So now I will skip this. This is about the trees in Bangalore. We have about, for every 7%, one tree is there. Otherwise I would have explained it how we did. I will move from this. Okay? Now the loss of water bodies. We lost the water body wherever, red things are there. This is where we lost about 79%. And the consequence is temperature is changing. 21 degrees in the 90s became 24 degrees in 2000 or 28 degrees in 2010. Okay, then today 34 to 37 degrees is the temperature. Okay, now the other consequence is the flooding happens in the city. There is a water scarcity in the other part of the city. Okay, and that is because of the loss of interconnectivity among the lakes. Okay, so then these are the frothing in the lake and the fire. That is because of the contamination in the lake. Okay, so then when there is a contamination, people use this water for growing vegetables in the downstream, and people also use fish in the lake. Our study shows, every unit of the pollutant getting into water body gets accumulated in the fish 1 million times. We collected fish sample, we studied the vegetable that is grown in the downstream, where she comes from, the surrounding area, Ramachandra, Siddhapur and all those places people grow the vegetable. When we looked at that, all these have heavy metal. Heavy metal in our food is creating the cancer and kidney failure in the city. Cancer, the city top as far as cancer is concerned. Kidney failure, which was 1 in the 1 lakh, about 12 years back, today it's 1 in 5,000. More and more people are losing the kidney. Okay, so then of course now the Bangalore lake is being rejuvenated. So we looked at how much silt has accumulated in the lake, and that silt, Vartur lake silt, we gave to the farmers. Because that silt had the nutrient, farmers got the bumper crop. This is the team we did the study. We did the study along with the defense people. Okay, and this is the kind of productivity they had got, from the Vartur lake. Every farmer said they got 1.5 lakh additional revenue because of this silt, because they were not investing on the fertilizer and the bumper crop because of the nutrient rich silt. That's how now the lake is getting rejuvenated. Probably in another 6 or 8 months the lake would be ready. Okay, then the success model. I will take another 3-4 minutes, I will wind up my talk. Okay, the wastewater treatment. The Jakkur lake, surrounding area, the pollutant was getting into Jakkur lake. It was rejuvenated. We used our technology, constructed wetland and algae pond. And today, Jakkur lake and the surrounding area, the wells are there. None of them have contaminants. That means this technology works. This is a low-cost technology based on nature-based principles. Okay, so then what else can be done? You can create the water body, you can also create a mini forest, and what are the advantages? Let us see. And sensitizing the youth. Okay. Now, see the water body which was created in IISC campus. We use it for as a lab. Not only students are happy, we also have otter in the campus. Okay, and there is a biodiversity in that lake which sustains the otter. Otter requires a lot of fish. That is because the algae and all in the lake, that is the thing. Okay, and whenever I meet people also take our advice, they create the water body. And this is another water body, is the Alvas Engineering College. After a year when I visit, you see the greenery with abundant water in the region. What is the benefit? The CEO of Alvas, you can see him here. He was a bachelor when he met me. But after creating water body, within 8 months he gets married. And he has got a wonderful family today. That is because of his initiative. Only Madam smiles. All of you are too young to understand. But if you want to have happiness in your life, you need to do something like this. When the community gets benefit, you will also be happy. This girl takes care of the entire joint family. The parents are there, brothers are there, take care, unlike Bangalore families. Okay, so then. If you come to the campus, you will see this climber. This climber is from Western Ghat. I brought the seed to the Bangalore. Out of 14 seeds, 7 seeds I planted in 7 locations. Out of 7 locations, only one place it survived. Where it survived? Next to the building where I have been working for the 2 decades. Even the plants know who will take care. Other 6 places it didn't survive. In front of the building, we created a mini forest in 2-hectare area. 2-hectare area, 500 sapling, 49 native species we planted. Today you get a feel of the rainforest, and more importantly you will see the diversity of animals, like slender lories, etc. Another interesting thing is groundwater, which was at 150 feet. Before we created a forest, today I have the water at 10 feet. Which shows that if you want water in the well, you need to have vegetation cover in the surrounding. And temperature is another 2 degrees lower. Okay? And this is the message we communicate to the youth. We try to sensitize them. That's where when the mobile and all appears, I get agitated because my agenda is to sensitize as many youth as possible. When they become sensible, have the environmental knowledge, they become sensible. When they become sensible, they will be responsible. That's what the country requires. A responsible citizen in our country is required. Okay? So then we are also doing capacity building for the people working in universities, industries, etc. This is the course on environmental management. For the last 2 decades, we have offered that course. Okay? And also we conduct a symposium once in 2 years. This is a 3-day event. The uniqueness of the event is the school and college students also participate. Christ College, the botany and zoology students come and attend the event. The school children, when they attend, they get the knowledge and they do a presentation on one day, the concluding day. They do a simple experiment like, the carbon sequestration trees, lake monitoring. They analyze it in a lab and they come and do the presentation. Such students who have taken part in the 98, today they have become faculty and they have become a responsible decision maker in various parts of the country. Okay? This is where you can write to me if you have any doubt. This is where all our details are available online. You can access, all the publications are available. You can read, download and read, but don't do copy paste, okay? So, and when you access the web page, you will see all our publications are archived. Even in YouTube, you will get my presentation. There are TED talks are there, 15 minutes, the Kannada talks are there. Like that, various languages, the talks are available. Okay? So, well, my agenda is to sensitize the youth, make them responsible. That's our contribution to the society and the country and to the globe. So, when the youth does a good job, there's a smile on everybody's face. In fact, I have come here so that you understand something, despite your subject is you are doing the master's or a bachelor degree. Masters, okay. Masters in literature. Okay, this is a different audience for me, but I am sure you have understood what I have spoken, and at least when you go home, you will communicate to your parents and your neighbors so that they become more responsible and you don't see them throwing the waste into your compound. Okay, thank you very much.
To look after this ecological, diversity along with economical advancement, because if we want economical advancement, it is necessary to build up more industries, and along with it, to maintain this ecology, it becomes very difficult. So how do we address that?
That's where we said no. We didn't say you don't develop. We said these are the region, don't disturb. That ecologically sensitive thing which I showed you, this one, no? You saw that Western Ghats. The red line, that is the region we said don't disturb. And also this is a wrong argument. The ecologically sensitive region, how much they constitute in India? For example, Western Ghats. Western Ghats entire area is 5% of India's geographical area. We are asking only 5% of India's geographical area. Out of 5%, we have identified ecologically sensitive regions, which are 40% of 5%. That means only 2%. Can't you keep 2% for your children? Do you want to root that 2% also? And so that your children are deprived of the water and the clean air? No, that mistake we should not do that. That's what I keep telling the various officials, including the Prime Minister. We should think of next generation. We should not think of the current generation and say development. Our development agenda today is to loot. Otherwise, can you get 350 crore in an MP's house if there is no looters in the society? Had he given the 350 crores to the 350 lakh people, their thing would have improved. See, that false agenda and false thing, we have to be very careful. That's where science comes. When you have data, you can question them. Okay, that should happen. Okay? We should not criticize unnecessarily. When you have data, you will give the solution. Various things, whether lake rejuvenation or lake conservation in Bangalore, we could intervene. It is because of the knowledge. That is because our student did the job. Okay? Are you convinced? Now country can prosper as well as the thing. For your information, I work in Western Ghats. Western Ghats, whichever the region has the good forest, productivity is higher. I showed that yield of the crop is higher. Okay? And whereas degraded, yield of the crop is not there. Okay? Second thing, Mahatma Gandhi talked about Surajya, cluster-based development. Set up the industries where in the districts and the taluk, so that the villagers, the youth can come to the industry and work, and on the weekend they can do the farming. That development would have been shown the holistic growth than putting everything in one place in the name of development and loot the resources of that region. Okay? You are from where?
Tamil Nadu.
Tamil Nadu. Okay.
Search for escaping from the concretized world to the greenery. So we know there are places like Cubbon Park and Lalbagh where we often go. But do you see this as a threat? Like mostly on the weekends, there is something called Cubbon Reads and Lalbagh Reads. So a lot of people go there at once and they, do picnics and read and everything. So what are your views on that?
No, one is the recreation services is provided by the ecosystem, which is what the people go for. When they go for Lalbagh, Cubbon Park, we need to protect them. At the same time, we should allow the system to the people to avail that service, recreation service. Okay? So we should not deprive the people the right to this one. See, you have a right to have the clean air, water, and also the cultural services provided by the ecosystem. That can happen only when you maintain the ecosystem. That's where this, maintaining the balance in the system and all those things comes to the picture. Okay? Okay? Anyone else? Okay. So,
Thank you so much.
okay. Okay, thank you.